If I were to ask you what the hardest GD level is, then you'd probably say Tidal Wave, or maybe even Silent Circles. And well, yes, these answers would technically be correct, but if you know more about the game, then you may even know about the number 1 impossible level, Formosa, which would also be correct. But there are many more levels that are trillions of magnitudes harder than even these levels. These are the impossible levels of GD. But before the video starts, I'd like to tell you that this is my first scripted video and that it took nearly 2 weeks to edit, so maybe a like and maybe even subscribing would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, back to the video. So the first list I would like to start with the impossible levels list, or ILL for short. These levels are not actually impossible, but extremely difficult. The rules for this list are the max CPS per player is only 15, which means you cannot click more than 30 clicks in a second in an ILL level. Take Formosa, for example, which needs 21,000 FPS and in some parts has 15 CPS and even up to 20. Now you might be thinking that the level doesn't look that hard. Well, just look at the layout. You see what I mean now? That's really insane how hard the level looks, yet most of those little spikes are invisible, which makes it look really much more easier. Now, as far as I know, this level is definitely humanly impossible as of right now. But this is the bare minimum. We still have so much more to explain, and these next couple parts absolutely fried my brain over these last couple days. Yes, the silent level list, or the SLL. The rules for these levels is that they have to be harder than the 25th ILL level, and the levels must be physically possible. These levels are literally hundreds of thousands of times harder than the levels on the ILL because of the number 1 level having 185,000 CPS, or a click nearly every 0.0075 milliseconds. Of course, by my calculations, which it could actually be a smaller or bigger amount of time. Even the 25th hardest level has a CPS of 2,300, which is absolutely insane how hard these levels are, but the next ones are nearly an infinite amount of times harder. And this is the one that has probably taken me the most for this video to do. So, without further ado, this next list fried my brain. The next list I would like to talk about is the physically possible levels list, which is extremely difficult. The first level on the list I'd like to talk about is the 33rd hardest level, Zodiac V2, which has a total click number of 2 to the 34, or 17,179,869,184 clicks total, which started the entirety of the SLL flipped on itself 10 times. Next level I want to talk about is the 10th hardest level, Roxy Hill, which has a total number of 10.10 times 10 to the 140,775 clicks, as far as I know. I rarely give an example of how big this number is. I can give one though. So the universe has 10 to the 83 atoms. Now put 10 to the 83 universes in each of those atoms. And then pick one out of 5 atoms and put 10 to the 83 atoms in each of those atoms. And that's just roughly how many clicks the level has. That's not even the total. The last level I'll talk about is the number 1 level, Snowstorm, which has a total of 6.72 times 10 to the 134217614 clicks, which is insane. I'll try to give an example with the previous one. So the universe, as stated before, has 10 to the 83 atoms. I'll put 10 to the 83 atoms in each of those atoms 5 times. That's basically nonsense. But the next list, well, let's just say, prepare yourself. Well, this is the end. The last bus stop. Last bite of a chocolate donut. The theoretically possible levels list, or TPLL. These levels are just at this point, to say it simply, crazy. The first level on the list that I would like to talk about is the 130th hardest level. Yes, out of the 130th hardest level, Brain Dead. This level's total clicks is, well, a crazy 10 to the 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 45.1905663061584 clicks, and that's a minimum too. It could be more. Now, based on the calculations that I did, this is a 1 followed by 10 to the 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 10 zeros behind it. And knowing that my math might be wrong, it could be more or it could be less. The next level I would like to talk about is the 61st hardest level, Bored a Million, with a total of 1,000 bracket 100 bracket 1 million clicks, which even the calculator I use, which is Wolfram Alpha, which you should definitely use, it's very good, doesn't even know the number, but knowing the amount of clicks in the last level, it's probably an insane number. And finally, the final frontier of GD, Last Hope by Jacko33. This level makes you click faster than a Planck time, which is how far light travels in a Planck length, or 6.2992 e minus 34 inches. So the clicks in the level is FLIM parenthesis BMS parenthesis plus Aleph 0 parenthesis 505 parenthesis clicks, which is just no. The number is so big that I can't even explain. The universe example would work, but you would need to put the 10 to the 83 albums in every single atom, probably the amount of clicks of the first level, or the 10 to 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 the 10 level. Now, you may think the video is all over, but no, there is one more list that I have to tell you about. And this one actually, finally, was my resting point from the TPLL. Now, you may think the video is over, but no, there's one more list that I have to tell you about. The Physically Impossible Levels List, or PILL. The levels on this list are obviously impossible. In fact, one of the levels on it has infinite clicks from what I can understand. And that's truly it, the last level of the video. You know, this video was one of the ones that taken me the longest to do. The script took me 2 days, and the editing, don't even get me started. Well, I guess now you know what the hardest levels are. The nearly infinite clicks and the insane levels. Well, thank you for watching the video, and from the whole bottom of my heart, thank you. And until next time, peace.